Coming up on football tonight, Savannah back in action after a 2-week layoff, hosting the Lafayette Fighting Irish. Also, a KCI showdown in Lathrop, the Mules hosting Mid-Buchanan. Can the Dragons win their first game against Lathrop in 10 years? And in Kansas, MAUR Hill out to a 2-0 start, looking to keep it rolling tonight. All this and much more coming up on Football Tonight.
Welcome into week 4 of football tonight. We've got a tremendous show lined up for you. Teams finally able to get back on the field, and Adam Orduna, it's another massive night of games. Here we go.
That's right. Another great week of football, Chris. And as you said, we have a tremendous show ahead of us. I'm ready to talk some high school football.
Let's get right to it. Starting with an MEC showdown tonight. Savannah out the last couple of weeks, back on the field night against Lafayette. Here we go in this one. Savannah with the ball. Matt Collier gets the snap, runs to the left, giving the option to Evan Young. He finds room on the outside where he brought down the 20-yard line. That leads to Savannah's first touchdown on the night. Now, Savannah with the ball back again later. It's Collier out of the gun this time, takes a snap, connects with Yount again, and Yount does the rest, breaks a tackle, jukes another defender to get into the end zone. Savannah up 12-0 at this point. Fighting Irish are looking to fight back, get something going here. Derek May going to get it. He's going to run out to his right, gets a nice block, cuts back inside. He's going to get into the end zone himself untouched. The extra point good. Irish now down by 5, 12-7. Savannah again. They're in the red zone. This time, Collier will keep it, and he gets into the end zone for another Savannah touchdown. Savannah hangs on. Lafayette fights back, but Savannah hangs on, wins this one 23-21.
From Savannah to the south side, Benton Cardinals looking for win number 1, hosting Central out of Kansas City. First quarter here, Cardinals with the ball, and here's some misdirection in the backfield. Garrison Didell gets the ball, springs free, dives into the end zone, 14-0 Benton. To start the second half, Central Blue Eagles looking for a response, and this run might be one of the top runs we see all year. The quarterback, Walter Taylor, calls his own number, breaks 1 tackle, 2 tackles, then runs over his own teammate, cuts back across the field, puts the speed shoes on, and Didell trying to track him down, but Taylor is able to score. Heck of a run by Taylor. Kansas City Central back in this game. Cardinal head coach Kevin Keaton trying to stay calm, knows his team is close to pulling out a big win. Didell at quarterback hands it to Caleb Addington, and this is a nice burst up the field. He scores. Benton gets their first win of the season, 20-14.
Maryville's first true road game of the season, meeting undefeated St. Pius down in Kansas City. We go, and this one, SPOOFHOUNDS have dominated the series in recent years, but the Warriors try and take the momentum in a hurry tonight. Jack Mosh drops back to pass, looking, finds David Dieters going deep, and he hauls it in for the touchdown. 7-0 Pius after the PAT. Not the last time we'll see Dieters tonight, but Maryville has an answer, and it's running the ball in the red zone from 6 yards out. Connor Weiss on the handoff. Weiss in. Maryville knots this one up at 7 apiece. The Warriors, though, took the lead back on a field goal, but again, the SPOOFHOUNDS trying to knock on the door. Again, 4th and goal from inside the 5. Nothing doing, though. Huge stop for Pius. Then the ensuing possession for the Warriors. Just a couple minutes left in the first half. Backs against the wall, and it's Mosh. Fires deep down the left sideline. Dieters there to haul it in. What a connection. Mosh to Dieters. Breathing room for St. Pius. Later in the drive, seconds left in the half. Dieters again goes up, brings this one down. 17-7 Pius heading into the break, and back and forth second half, but the Warriors outlast the Hounds 26-14. Here's Matt Webb after the game.
Well, you give all the credit to St. Pius. You know, that team really came out and was motivated and had some really good game plans with us, against us. And they earned this victory tonight. We didn't do the things that was, you know, necessary and the things that it takes to win a football game, you know, and that was the message is they earned it and we didn't.
We continue with Maryville Forum Sports Director John Dykstra joining us. John, thanks for taking some time tonight with us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
John, talk about that game a little bit. Pius really kind of seemed to have things going against Maryville, and Maryville just not quite on the same page as they were last week?
Well, if you're a MEC fan and you don't know the name David Dieters yet, you are going to want to get to know him before your team plays St. Pius, because that guy was uncoverable tonight. That last touchdown, Maryville had 3 guys on him. Didn't matter. Went up and got it. Maryville just got outplayed tonight, and there's not many times that I've covered Maryville that I can say that, but tonight they just were completely outmatched by Dieters in particular, but St. Pius won in the trenches too. They just played a really good football game.
Johnny, talk about Maryville being outplayed tonight, and Coach Webb kind of alluded to that in a sound we heard from just a little bit ago. What was his message after the game from when you talked to him, just about what he told his guys after this one?
It was an all-11 not doing the job the same way he talks when they win about doing your 1/11th. He talked after the game about nobody played well enough tonight to deserve that win. And particularly he wasn't because he could tell that Dieters was going to be a story because he had just such a great game at receiver. And he said that's not all on the DBs because the defensive line didn't get as much pressure as you would normally expect, and as they have gotten before against Pius in years past. So that was kind of his message, was nobody's exempt from taking some blame for this loss.
Tough one for Maryville tonight down there at St. Pius. John Dykstra, about 15 seconds left. Real quick wrap up, what's Maryville need to do next week?
Just get back on track against Cameron. I mean, they lost the opener against Blair Oaks and got right back on track, so do it again.
John Dykstra, Maryville Forum sports editor, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
All right, over in Chillicothe, the Hornets hosting Cameron tonight. Cameron gets the win, 48-21. Cameron moves to 3-1 on the year. Chillicothe falls to 0-4. Dragons host Maryville next week, in Chillicothe on the road to St. Pius.
Down in Lee Summit tonight, the Suburban Red Conference. Central taking on the Tigers. Central falling 22-8. This was 12-0 at the half. Central falling to 1-3 on the year. Next week, though, another city rivalry in St. Joe. Central traveling to the north side to take on the Fighting Irish.
Still plenty to come on football tonight. It's an 8-man football showdown, a rematch from last year's state title game. Southwest Livingston and Mound City squaring off.
And it's a battle at the top of the KCI conference tonight. MID-Buchanan on the road to take on the Mules. Highlights coming up next on Football Tonight.
Give it all you got. Take your best shot. Give it all you got.
And welcome back to Football Tonight. The KCI, one of the best small school conferences in the state. And for the last few years, Lathrop sitting at the top of the conference.
But it's been a different season for the Mules so far. Just one game so far because of positive COVID-19 cases. But the Mules back this week, taking on a team trying to dethrone the Mules in that KCI conference. Down in Lathrop we go, the Mules hosting MID-Buchanan. Lathrop won last year's meeting 49-0. This year the Dragons coming in 3-0 in those 3 games, allowing just 7 points per. Opening drive for the Dragons goes to TJ Runyon around the edge, goes back up the middle, picks up a good chunk of yardage. Later in the drive, Runyon again, his running ability makes an already dangerous Dragons team that much better. Touchdown Dragons. Runyon gives Mid-Buck an early 7-0 lead with a PAT good. Ensuing drive, Lathrop's ball. Penalties hurting the Mules here. Back up 2nd and 30. Check out this throw. Well placed. Almost a catch on the sideline, but Blake Hunter breaks it up in the last second. Mules forced to punt deep in their own territory. Ensuing drive. Dragons trying to make a 2-possession game. They give to Rollins Brandt. No room on the outside. Cuts it back across the field. Has some running room. He evades one defender. One guy to beat. He's brought down just outside the 20-yard line. And then it goes to Runyon. Runyon with it. Pretty good with the football, but right here, good tackle by Lathrop. Knocks the ball loose, but the Dragons jump on it, but they stall. Turnover on downs later in the drive. We don't have about the Mid-Buchanan defense a lot, but we need to. 3rd and long, a strip, and Cage Burns recovers the fumble deep in Lathrop territory, and then just a few plays later inside the 5-yard line. The Dragons just going to let their quarterback do his thing. Javen Noyes lowers the shoulder, punches in, touchdown, and the Dragons roll tonight. First win against Lathrop since 2010. Mid-Buck 4-0 on the season. And Dave Riggert, wow, what a win for the Dragons tonight. And voice of the Dragons, Dave Riggert, voice of Missouri Western, voice of high school football here for so long. You're calling this game tonight. What a tremendous game for Mid-Buchanan.
Well, I talked to Coach Fritz afterwards, and he even said this could be a program-changing win for this team and this program, because Lathrop is the only team that has not been defeated by Mid-Buchanan since Coach Fritz has been there. So, and the last 2 years, Lathrop's been 27-2. They had won 22 consecutive games at home, and with Mid-Buchanan stepping up and knocking them off, the way they did was the most impressive thing. I don't think it's a shock to me, a shock to you, a shock to a lot of people that Mid-Buchanan won the football game. They dominated the football game. At the half, it was 35-0, and they had outgained Lathrop almost 300-30 in the football game, and did a lot of it on the ground. They did a lot of ground and pound early and opened some things up with the pass, but they were dominant the entire night. It was an impressive win for Mid-Buchanan, and something that will give these kids even more confidence than what they had.
Now, Dave, I guess I am a little bit shocked just for the fact that Lathrop has been so good for so long, and to have this be such a margin that it was for Mid-Buck to go ahead and win. What does it say about Lathrop and where they're at maybe, and not so much about Mid-Buck, because we know how many players they have, but what does it kind of say about Lathrop?
I think there's still so much unknown just because they were off the last 2 weeks. They lost a lot of talented players off of their last 2 teams that, as I mentioned, have gone 27-2 the last 2 years and won 22 straight at home. So I don't think we know yet, because they had their preseason practices. They lost to Richmond in week 1 pretty bad, 44-6, a little bit of a shock, but then they were off for 2 weeks. They couldn't practice. They do have some talented kids. They look the part. They've got some good looking athletes, but they're still trying to kind of find themselves without some of their top players from the last couple of years. So I think there's a lot of unknown. I think it's still a good football team. They're not what they have been, but I still think they can win more than what they lose. I think this will be a team that has a winning record by the end of the year. I think they'll kind of get on a roll once they can get some continuity, some consistency, and just get to practice some, because they made so many mistakes, turnovers. They had 7 penalties in the first 3 drives of the game. So they shot themselves in the foot over and over. And I think that's just, they didn't practice the last 2 weeks, just got back together today. They didn't know if some kids would play tonight, and they did. So I just think there's a lot of unknown right now about Lathrop.
Dave, real quick, are you in a cave? I'm really confused.
Honestly, to be honest with you, I just pulled into my driveway as you guys were showing the highlights. So okay. I'm just going to be honest with your listener, your viewers. I pulled into my driveway as soon as you were giving the highlights. I didn't want to rush inside, so yes, I'm in a cave.
Perfect. Dave Riggert, voice of the Dragons, thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks, boys. See ya.
Great backdrop there for Dave Riggert. All right, down in Weston, West Platte hosting Lawson. The Cardinals take this one 10-6. Cardinals host Plattsburgh next week, and West Platte heads over to Gower for Week 5. And over in Hamilton tonight, the Hornets hosting East Buchanan. The Bulldogs win big 60-36. Both teams continuing. KCI play next week. Bulldogs host West Platte, and Hamilton hosting Lathrop.
Staying in the KCI, Plattsburgh coming off a loss to West Platte, hosting North Platte tonight, who's looking for their first win. Tigers up 7-0 with about 5 minutes to go in the first half. 4th down here. Caden Carter gets Nate close, just enough for the first down. Tigers just letting this clock wind down here at the end of the first half. A little bit later, it's Luke Schroeder. They're just going to hand the ball off a lot here, and pitch to the outside. Tigers just got a lot of yards here, 3 or 4 yards per carry, just getting things going. But the Panthers defense tightens up. 4th and long we go here with about 30 seconds to play. Carter to Schroeder, but hold on, it's a pass. Cameron Dake, as he's getting hit, touchdown. Cameron Dake gets the touchdown for Plattsburgh on 4th down and long. Plattsburgh's defense slams the door tonight in the second half. Tigers win this one 29-0 to get back in the win column. An 11-man GRC Grand River Conference play, Gallatin getting the win over Polo 48-27. South Harrison rolling to a win tonight, beating Maysville 36-0.
More GRC scores to look at. Princeton on the road at Milan. Milan wins tonight 39-8. Still to come on football tonight, we head to the 8-man level. Number 4 North Andrew on the road to take on the Wildcards in this GRC 275 crossover matchup.
And it's an 8-man football showdown, a rematch from last year's state title game. Southwest Livingston and Mound City squaring off. Those highlights coming up next on Football Tonight.
Give it all you got. Take your best shot. Give it all you got. Take your best shot.
Welcome back. Mound City and Southwest Livingston met in the 8-man state championships game last season. The Panthers ran their way to back-to-back state titles, but in the regular season last year, Southwest got their win. So how does this one go tonight in the regular season? Down in Ludlow we go. Wildcats down 14-0. Chase Neptune for Southwest Livingston on the kickoff return. He has some space, gets some blockers, and he's quick. Down the sideline he goes, cuts the deficit just to 8, 14-6. Mound City leading at this point, but the Panthers really good here. Tony Osborne to Will Young on 4th and long for a first down to set up a Land-A-Papa touchdown a little bit later in the drive. Mound City up 20-6. And then Wes Hughes, one of the best players in 8-man football and out of Southwest Livingston. 8-yard touchdown and 2-point conversion, tied up at 20. But the Panthers getting the very close win, 40-36 tonight, to improve to 4-0 on the season. And here to help break it down tonight is Devin Albertson. You were out there in Ludlow for Mound City Southwest Livingston, a rematch of last year's state championship game. Just back and forth game, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Mound City controlled the first half, 14-0 there at the break, but Livingston did a great job in the third quarter, outscored Mound City 28-12, got an onside kick that really turned the tide there a little bit, and went back and forth. They actually took a 36-34 lead late in the fourth quarter, but then Tony Osborne hit Will Young on a 46-yard touchdown to seal the deal for Mound City, put them up by 4. Heck of a job by Livingston up front, made Mound City kind of pass the ball to win this game, something Mound City's not used to a little bit, and just Mound City did a great job, resiliency to come back late in that game and withstand Livingston and get the big regular season win.
And Devin, talk about this rematch. I'm sure both teams had this one circled on the schedule. Just talk about how big of a matchup this was this evening.
The atmosphere here at Ludlow was amazing. Both crowds were very into it. Just kind of back and forth. You could just tell the energy didn't feel like a regular season game. It felt more like a playoff game, like it was do or die. And it really showed that the players both on both sides played their tails off. It was a fun game back and forth. Wes Hughes for Livingston had 140 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He injured his hand early in the game, so he couldn't throw the ball a whole lot for Livingston. He kind of went to more of a running game. And for Mound City, Tony Osborne threw the ball 160 yards and 3 scores, all to Will Young. So very impressive there for both sides, doing what they're not really known for. Livingston more passing the ball this year, ran the ball well. Mound City more of a running team, threw the ball well. So kind of a weird thing on offense, but very well played with both teams.
Devin, talking about these two teams, and there's a lot of talent across these two teams, but guys like Landon Papa and Hughes for Southwest Livingston, just how dynamic of playmakers are we talking about here? Because these are some of the best in 8-man that has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Wes hurting his hand early in that game, he was kind of limited throwing the ball a little bit, but he ran the ball well against a good Mound City defense. And then Landon Papa does a little bit of everything for Mound City. He's maybe the best linebacker in the state. He had a pick 6 there early in the first quarter to kind of set the tone for Mound City. Also had a rushing touchdown and just does everything that Mound City asks him to do. And he's a great player for him. And Mr. Everything, he might be the best player in the state of Missouri, and he showed tonight why that's the case, not just offensively, but also on the defensive end. That's what kind of sets him apart. And then one guy I want to highlight for Livingston, Jaden Sears. He plays center and he plays defensive end. He had a couple of big sacks today. He's a very good defensive player as well, and he's a little more highlight on him as well for how good he is on the defensive end.
Devin Albertson, 8-man football expert out there in Ludlow tonight from Mound City Southwest Livingston. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Chris.
It's always a pleasure having Devin on. All right, 275 games tonight. DCAB at East Atchison canceled because of COVID-19 concerns. But up in Barnard, Platte Valley hosting South Holt, Nottoway Holt. Spartans win 52-6. And up in Rockport, Blue Jays hosting Northwest Nottoway in a 275 conference game. Rockport coming away with the win over Northwest Nottoway 50-28. And Stanberry's game at Osceola canceled also because of COVID-19 concerns at Osceola.
Let's go out on 36 Highway in Stewartsville. GRC 275 crossover. North Andrew coming off a win against Pattonsburg last week. Here we go in this one. Less than 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Wildcards up 6-0. Cross. Bryant gets a snap, drops back, looking deep the end zone. Braxton Gibson grabs it for the touchdown. Wildcards lead 12-0. Then North Andrew comes marching down the field. Carson Thomas hands off to Andrew Goff, and he finds a hole into the end zone for a touchdown to put the Cardinals on the board. 2-point conversion good. North Andrew down though by 4, 12-8. Second quarter we go. North Andrew with the ball again. Thomas fakes the handoff, rolls out to his right, finds a wide open Keaton Hanna for another Cardinal touchdown. 2-point conversion good. North Andrew takes the lead 16-12. They go on to win this one decisively 60-18. How about Bishop LeBlanc tonight? The Golden Eagles getting their first win of the season over Keatsville. 62-32. Congratulations to Bishop LeBlanc, and Worth County over Albany in a close nail-biter 56-54.
Pattonsburg coming off of a Week 3 loss, looking for a bounce-back game here, traveling to King City tonight. Let's start in the early first here. Panthers driving, pulling out all the tricks. Ends up in the hands of Brett Emig. Touchdown, Pattonsburg. He goes the distance. And what a start for the Panthers. You gotta believe the coaches and the team are fired up after that play. And it continues on defense. Sam Coyne almost misses the tackle, but knocks the ball loose. There it is, ball goes to the Panthers there. A little bit later, Zane Reed just basically walks into the end zone. Pattonsburg in full control until, here we go, King City makes this one close. Parker Muff gets away from the tackle there, takes it to the house. Wildcats make this one a fight, but Pattonsburg goes on to win tonight, 78-46.
Don't go anywhere. We still got plenty more football tonight after the break. We head across the river over into Kansas. Maur Hill finding a replacement game tonight. Highlights coming up next.
And over in Troy, Trojans looking for their first win. Highlights coming up next on Football Tonight.
Give it all you got. Take your best shot. Give it all you got. Take your best shot.
Welcome back to Football Tonight. We've seen a few games canceled this season because of COVID-19 impacting teams on the Kansas side as well.
Maur Hill lost its original game for tonight, but as we've seen a lot, teams stepping up and finding opponents no matter how far away they have to travel. So the Ravens getting their game in tonight. Senior night over in Atchison. Maur Hill Mountain Academy. Ravens able to find an opponent this week from 3 hours away, Nickerson Panthers. Maur Hill, though, was not sure on how this game would go, but they came out strong. Senior Shane Soxley scored on the first drive. He finished with a pair of scores on the kickoff. Then return Philip Magna of Nickerson takes it back, but fumbles the ball. The Ravens recovering it. Drew Cottle then a little bit later on offense. The quarterback had himself a night too. Finds Soxley again, the back of the end zone. What a catch there to get the feet in bounds. Cottle with 3 touchdown passes on the night. Ravens up 12-0. Then the star running back for Maur Hill, Andrew Schwinn, making big plays on defense, forcing turnover on downs, 12 tackles for him. The Ravens stopping the Panthers a few times on downs tonight. And then Schwinn on offense, really good running back, and he's able to get in for the touchdown. The end zone 3 times by total for Schwinn. Right before the half, Maur Hill able to pick off the Panthers and score again. Seniors taking care of business tonight on senior night, 40-6 the final score. Maur Hill now 3-0 on the season. Other Kansas scores to pass along to you too. Riverside over in Hiawatha tonight. Cyclones picking up a very big win, 42-6. And then Atchison getting a win over Bonner Springs tonight, 42-24.
And out on Highway 36, Troy Trojans in action tonight. Troy with the ball. Cam Anders rolls to his right, finds Blaine Schellenberger. Makes a couple defenders miss, gets a few yards before taken down. Trojans would be forced to punt, but get the ball back. Anderson this time rolling to his left, finding a wide open Keaton Newman. And he gets around the edge there, 10-yard line for Troy. And then Anderson will be handing it off to Gavin Falmer. And he powers it into the end zone for the touchdown. Troy leads 6-0. But WABAUNSEE would come back to take the lead here. They would go on to win 37-13.
8-man level over in Kansas. Donovan West taking care of business against Johnson Brock. Donovan West winning 44-22. So to come here on Football Tonight, you voted all week for your play of the week. We'll tell you the results coming up next on Football Tonight.
Give it all you got. Take your best shot.
Our Anderson Auto Group play of the week goes to MID-BUCHANAN's TJ Runyon. Congrats to him.
Thanks for watching Football Tonight. We'll see you next week.